Uncle Go Clips.
Everyone's favorite punching bag, Elon Musk,
Who
was
is Elon Musk?
yeah, Elon Musk. He's a South African-born entrepreneur. He I can't remember what year he was born in. '70s sometime. I think he's 45 or 49, something like that. Anyway, he was a giant nerd growing up. Going to school, he was beaten up. He was bullied. He was sent to hospital one time because he was pushed down some stairs. But he was super smart and calculating. He was writing computer games when he was like 9. He tried to set up an arcade business with his brother Kimball at like age 11. And he'd done it all over the phone and like almost negotiated a contract to buy the place, and his parents found out and stopped him. Um, then at age 17, he decided that all of his interest in sort of science fiction, futuristic stuff, there wasn't much scope for it in South Africa at the time, a very troubled country. So he decided that he would try and get to the US, where it seemed like all of the future stuff was happening. And he went to Canada at age 17 with, I think, $2,000 and hung out with some relatives, got a few jobs, including like one where he was cleaning out a grain silo or something that could explode at any moment, just sort of crazy stuff. Fast forward a few years anyway, and he's worked his way up through banks and various jobs, and started a software company with his brother who had moved over. It was called Zip2, I think, and that was the sort of a prototype Yelp.com kind of thing, reviews and maps of various businesses. It was sort of ahead of its time, and ended up being bought by a newspaper and kind of disappearing into their melange. But it was bought by a newspaper, so he had a bit of money. He reinvested that in a series of businesses, leading to most notably a company called X.com. And this was founded out of his desire, as he had gone through education, through various levels of education, he had been thinking about the future of the human race. And in a way that I don't think most people do. He's thinking about it on a kind of an existential level, and what could guarantee the preservation of our species for the rest of time. And he came up with a list of items, and I always forget one or two of these items, but it was like climate change is an existential threat, being limited to a single planet is an existential threat, artificial intelligence is an existential threat, economic meltdown is maybe not an existential threat, but it's a threat to the civilization that enables us to deal with the others. Mm-hmm. And there was another one that I'm forgetting as well.
Probably something like self-destruction through war or something like that.
Yeah.
Virus could be also a thing, as we see in 2020.
Certainly, yeah. So he hasn't tackled either of those two, I don't think, to any kind of extent. But what he has looked at is climate change. Obviously, he started Tesla to try and accelerate the transition to renewable energy usage. Because Tesla isn't just a car company; they do battery storage, solar power, and so on. We talked a good bit about that in the last one. The single planet species is addressed by SpaceX, but that came later. So what X.com was trying to tackle was the economic side of things, and the lowest hanging fruit of that, the first part that he could see to tackle, was the banking industry. And to get into that, he thought he would focus on digitizing payments. And so X.com was all about digitizing payments, making it so you could email money back and forth. And if this is sounding familiar, it's because it got bought out or merged with what became PayPal. And his ambition to upend the banking industry using PayPal led to the board of PayPal voting him out while he was on his honeymoon. So he was away on holiday with his new wife, and they voted him out of the company. But they did give him a golden handshake of something like $150 million. So he was there at like age...
That's basically paying him out to leave the company, right?
Exactly, yeah, because he was just too much of an upstart and was going to upset all of these industries. And he still occasionally talks about wanting to get back into PayPal, like buy PayPal now, and
and all
upend
the banking industry gets shook up. Like,
yeah, exactly.
No, stick to cars and rockets.
Yeah. So so what he was sitting there with money. You said a minute ago that SpaceX was the space part of Tesla. They're actually completely separate companies, but SpaceX is slightly older than Tesla as well. So SpaceX was founded in 2002, and this happened because when he was booted out of PayPal, he was kind of at a loss as to what to do, and he thought back to his list of existential threats, and the whole single planet species thing came up. So the thinking behind that is that we live on this one planet. It's vulnerable to, like you said, viruses, AI takeover, an asteroid hitting it, stars exploding nearby and sending gouts of radiation at us, whatever. So if we can establish a permanent home on another world, that doubles our chances of surviving any of those threats. And more than that, he was a fan of science fiction growing up. He was thinking, where's the moon base? Where's the Mars base? Yeah. So he went on NASA's website and he looked it up, looked at their Mars page, and there was nothing. There was no plan. So he was kind of stunned by this, and he thought, okay, well, it's probably just an issue of the budget for NASA. So what informs the budget? Well, politicians, obviously. What informs politicians? Public will. Well, if I can maybe use some of my riches to excite the public about Mars, it might push NASA towards doing something.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see the full version, go to the Uncle Gold Podcast YouTube channel or watch the next clip.